Hello everyone. I want to talk today about something called compression syndrome. You may not have ever heard of it. In fact, I never heard of it before. And I think it even may have been relatively new as a, I don't think it's a formal syndrome, but it fits in with what's going on here. So we're all tired, we're all frustrated. There's so much going on and it just keeps building up and building up and building up. And then we add on to that, it's not just what we're doing with regard to the coronavirus, the masks, the social distancing, the giving people more space, avoiding crowds and so on. But there's other things going on. There's the protests. There's even violence with the protests. There's the economy. There's a lot of people out of work. There's so many things going on, and they build up and build up and build up. So my very good friend, Dr. Harry Oken, and by the way, Dr. Oken and I recently authored a new book. I'm not going to advertise it now, but we authored a new book, so I just want you to know that there's a relationship between us. Anyway, he's a very good primary care physician in Maryland. And he was telling me recently that he's seeing more and more people coming into his office with what he calls this compression syndrome. And he takes an analogy to a car engine. If you continually drive the compression up, after a while it starts to knock, it starts to ping. It just isn't working right. And if you keep at it long enough, then the O-rings go, the gaskets go, and you start to burn oil. Well, he sees that as an analogy to what he's seeing in his patients. He said every day more patients come in with the same thing. It's just like Edward Moucher's The Scream. You know the painting. Here's a picture of it. And it's just like, it's just pushing in my head, pushing in, and I just can't handle it anymore. And so people become overwhelmed, just overwhelmed. So what happens? In his practice, he said, not everybody, but many of my patients really live a healthy lifestyle. But even those people, they're not eating right, they're not exercising well, they aren't sleeping well, all the things that are so important to us. And when that happens, our immune system's going to go down. Our risk of all sorts of things goes up. So what's he ascribe it to? The media. We got this whole background that I just mentioned of things going on that are so important to us. But the media is just no help here. They want to get our eyeballs, they want to get our readership, and so they make everything exciting, everything stimulating. And then of course that's exacerbated by social media. It's exacerbated by commentators who like to think that they can say this one's wrong or that one's wrong. It doesn't matter really left or right. It's all going on all the time. And it just builds up and builds that stress up. And with that stress coming up means that we dump into our bloodstream adrenaline and cortisol. These are our stress hormones. Now normally they should go up very quickly if we have something important that happens right now. You know, that truck coming at me. But we don't want it there on a long-term basis. And it's there now because of the all the things we need to do, the sheltering in place and so on. But it's exacerbated all the time, every day. Oh, the cases are going up. The violence. The hurricane's going to destroy us, and so on. What that does is it just builds it all up and builds it all up and builds it all up. So what's the fix? Well, the fix is the same as what I talked about with caution fatigue. And the fix is simply take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Interact with others, eat well, sleep well, exercise. But the other thing to do, you got to put some limits to the media. I would say, just me, but I would say half-hour max. If you can't find what you need to find in a half an hour, that's probably should be enough. Second thing I would do is to say, in general, newspapers are better than radio, and radio is better than TV, and TV is better than social media. And amongst the newspapers, you know, a good newspaper that's well edited, relatively unbiased, and you can get factual information without it screaming at you too much. So those are some suggestions. Be aware of it. We all are very susceptible to it right now because we've been through so much. It's going on for a long time. March, April, May, June, July, now the beginning of August. It's just building up and building. There's no end in sight. It's not going to end soon. Some people say, oh, it'll be over in no time. No, it won't. I think another 6 months for sure, maybe more, who knows. Well, enough, but be aware of it. Be aware that we really need to be very careful, very cautious. Don't overload yourself with bad news, because there's plenty of purveyors of bad news out there to try and tamp it down. Thanks.